In the heart of a world forged by men, she emerged not as a whisper, but as a storm. Her name was Cleopatra, and her story is not one of a queen born to rule, but of a woman who taught the world the very definition of power. It is a tale etched not in stone, but in the subtle shifts of empires, in the hearts of the most powerful men, and in the enduring spirit of a civilization that saw in her its final brilliant flame. She was a pharaoh, yes, but her true kingdom was the intricate web of human ambition, her scepter the force of her intellect, and her crown a legacy of strategic genius. The scrolls of history often paint her with a single brushstroke, a seductress draped in silks and jewels, a siren of the Nile. But to see her only through the lens of romance is to miss the master strategist, the scholar who spoke 9 languages, the politician who commanded fleets and swayed senates. Her allure was not merely physical, it was the magnetic pull of a mind that moved several steps ahead of her rivals. While others saw borders and armies, Cleopatra saw the currents of influence, the delicate threads of loyalty and fear that held the world together. She understood that power was not a monolith to be conquered, but a river to be navigated, its course guided by a steady and knowing hand. Her elegance was a weapon, her charm a key, and every glance, every word was a calculated move in a game where the prize was not just a throne, but the survival of a dynasty and the soul of Egypt itself. In the grand theatre of a declining Ptolemaic Egypt, she inherited a kingdom fractured by internal strife and shadowed by the looming eagle of Rome. Her siblings were rivals, her courtiers vipers, and her treasury depleted. A lesser ruler would have been a pawn, a footnote in Rome's inexorable expansion. But Cleopatra was not a lesser ruler. She knew that to confront Rome's military might directly was to invite annihilation. Instead, she chose a different battlefield, the minds and hearts of its most powerful men. Her strategy was one of audacious intimacy, a daring gambit to transform potential conquerors into indispensable allies. She did not bow before power. She drew it into her orbit, making herself not a subject of Roman will, but the fulcrum upon which its future turned. This was not submission. It was a profound act of leadership, a recognition that the most effective battles are often won without a single sword being drawn. Her legendary encounters with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony were not mere trysts of passion. They were masterclasses in political theatre and strategic alliance. With Caesar, she saw a fellow intellect, a visionary who could appreciate her ambition and recognize the value of a stable, prosperous Egypt as a Roman partner, not a subjugated province. She presented herself not as a supplicant, but as a sovereign, an equal whose mind was as vast and fertile as the lands she ruled. Their union was a convergence of 2 worlds, a blending of Roman steel and Egyptian wisdom that secured her throne and revitalized her kingdom. It was a partnership forged in mutual respect and shared ambition, a testament to her ability to command attention and influence the course of history through sheer force of presence and intellect. With Antony, the dynamic shifted. Here was a man of passion, a soldier whose heart was as open as his battle strategies were bold. Cleopatra understood him not just as a Roman general, but as a man who yearned for a world beyond the rigid confines of the Senate. She offered him not just an alliance, but a shared dream, an Eastern empire, a new dynasty to rival and even surpass Rome. Their love was real, a tempestuous and profound connection, but it was also a strategic masterstroke. It was the fusion of Roman military power with Egyptian wealth and strategic depth. In Alexandria, they built a court that was a beacon of culture and opulence, a stark contrast to the political machinations of Rome. She did not simply love Mark Antony, she invested in him, shaping him into the champion of her vision, the partner with whom she would dare to redraw the map of the known world. This was her grandest play, a love affair that was also a declaration of war against the old order. But the winds of fate are relentless, and the rise of Octavian, the cold and calculating heir to Caesar, signaled a change in the game. He represented a new Rome, one that had no room for an Eastern queen with imperial ambitions. The clash was inevitable, a collision between 2 irreconcilable visions of the future. The Battle of Actium was not just a naval defeat, it was the shattering of a dream. In its wake, Cleopatra was faced with the ultimate test of her resilience. Stripped of her fleet, her armies, and her great love, she was cornered, the full might of Rome closing in. Yet even in the face of absolute despair, she did not crumble. Her final days were not a portrait of defeat, but a testament to her unyielding spirit. She negotiated, she planned, she sought to protect her children and salvage what she could of her legacy. Her final act, a death by her own hand, was the ultimate expression of her sovereignty. She would not be paraded through the streets of Rome, a trophy of Octavian's victory. She chose her own end, denying her conqueror his ultimate triumph and ensuring she would be remembered not as a captive, but as a queen. It was her final defiant move in a lifelong game of power, a testament to a spirit that could be defeated, but never truly conquered. The story of Cleopatra is a symphony of ambition, love, and loss, a sweeping epic of a queen who dared to match wits with emperors. But beneath the grand narrative lies a more intimate, more enduring lesson. It is the story of a woman who, in a world determined to define her, chose to define herself. She teaches us that true power is not merely inherited or seized, it is cultivated through intelligence, forged in the fires of adversity, and wielded with strategic grace. Her legacy is a reminder that presence can be more potent than an army, that wisdom is the sharpest weapon, and that the courage to shape one's own destiny is the most profound form of leadership. Cleopatra was not just the Queen of the Nile, she was the architect of her own legend, a timeless icon of resilience who proved that even when kings fall and empires turn to dust, the will of a single brilliant mind can echo through eternity.